Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. Today I'm doing a debate on Iron Man 3 with my friend Cole. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Okay, that's what I wanted. I didn't want you to say your name. Anyway, so the first thing I kind of want to come to, I have a bunch of a giant list of things, including characters, plot points, and sort of sequences and some more technical stuff overall. And then we'll end with the overall thoughts of the movie, especially coming off of this. And this might change your thoughts on the movie. What do you think?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know.
Anyway, so overall, the first thing I want to come to is Tony Stark. So Cole, what did you think of Tony throughout the movie?
I thought he was good in this movie. I think he was better in Iron Man 2.
Really?
I liked him a lot in this movie, especially in the final battle. I thought he was good with pulling Pepper out and all of that at the end, and then with all of his suits coming. I really enjoyed how he reacted to that. He was a little tight in the beginning. He wasn't as exciting as he was in the beginning of the movie. He wasn't as exciting. He's always a very exciting person, but he wasn't so exciting in the first half of the movie.
Can I say one thing to that?
Until his house got destroyed.
Can I say one thing about that? I think I 100% disagree. I absolutely love the scene where he's getting that new suit and it's just coming on. I think the best scene in the entire MCU is that scene where Tony is on the suit, he has the little things, and then he flips himself over. I mentioned this a bunch of times when I was ranking the MCU movies.
Of course.
Here, I'll just play it about 100 times. Anyway, on with the video. So I love Tony Stark in this movie. I 100% disagree with you. I think this is Downey's best performance so far. Not as good as he would be in Infinity War and Endgame, but I think honestly you could tell in the first ones it's freshman stage, if I had to put it one way. And then this feels like he's already a senior in college. If I had to, not my best analogy. My best ones involve cake. I do that a lot on this channel. I'll tell you guys. So, overall, I love Tony here. I think he's so much fun. I feel you just seem kind of like a Game Boy in the first one. It was kind of weird. But overall, I think he played this movie quite well. I think he was fantastic here. And, yeah.
I would add that by far the best part of Robert Downey Jr. in this movie was the whole Tennessee part. I thought he was great with, the kid. When he entered, I think that was his best part of the movie. That was really good.
I would probably agree with that. That or the beginning with the suit.
Yeah.
But overall, Robert Downey Jr. just brings such a charisma to this character, and I just really enjoy him in the role. Before this, he was in movies like Weird Science, one of the weaker John Hughes movies, but that was still a good movie. And but I think he was still in high school. I could be wrong about that. So, but I think overall his career has been getting better and better since the original Iron Man came out. He was in Sherlock Holmes, and then he came out in Dr. Dolittle last year. I have never seen it. I heard it was not a very good movie, but whatever, not the point. Anyway, next character. We have next up we have Pepper Potts. I think Pepper was way better here than she was in Iron Man 2. Because overall, my problem with Tony in Iron Man 2 is that he felt so unlikable, especially with the whole thing with the daddy issues. That was just and also him just getting attached to his suits, Pepper running Stark Industries, and also that whole bar sequence. As much as I love Another One Bites the Dust, a fantastic song, I don't like Tony at all in that sequence. The sequence is okay, but whatever. But here I think Pepper is kind of the same as a whole in Iron Man 2. It feels the same, but I think both her and Tony, especially her, feel like the relationship drama I think is more needed, and it didn't feel so much like it was just had to be there. It felt more like it was needed. And that's kind of what I appreciate. You have any thoughts?
I agree with you on half of that. I completely agree that the relationship stuff was needed. I think Pepper was really good in this movie and not so good in Iron Man 2. I thought she was really good, especially
I would
like,
probably agree with
when
that.
Killian took her. She was really good at like the end. I really liked the scene where she was like shown like taking in the fire thing. That was good to like put that in there in the movie. She was really good in this one. Iron Man 2, she was okay. I would agree with Jacob's review on her and Iron Man 2. Like, she was, like, okay, but I agree. I didn't love her running Stark Industries. So, yeah.
Also, can I mention one thing? After Tony left Stark Industries and started building his own suits, this might be due to my own stupidity, but I don't know what Stark Industry actually does now. Like, it's beyond belief. I don't even know what they do after they started making weapons.
Well,
Like, I guess they produced the Iron Man suits, but that was back in the original Iron Man. That was, like, in this timeline.
It does say in, like, Spider-Man Homecoming when they're, like, moving their stuff to the new, like,
yeah, but I mean,
facility, they're saying, like, they're making, like, Cap's shield, and they're bringing, like, all this other stuff. So I feel like they might be, like, like, they make, like, Rhodey's War Machine.
No, they did. No, that they didn't. Technically,
They didn't?
technically, well, not the first one. Technically, Hammer Tech did. But anyway, going back to the movie. Next character. I'm gonna go with next character. So I'm gonna go with Rhodey. I think Rhodey here. I think I actually prefer Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle from the original Iron Man. You agree?
Yeah, completely agree.
Because my problem with Don Cheadle is that they really hadn't done much with the character as a whole. And then I'll cut to the scene of the original Iron Man.
Next time, baby.
Okay, so what I mean by that is that he never really even got it. So, but overall, I think Don Cheadle, before Endgame, I would have said Terrence Howard is way better. But I think Endgame given a bit more to do. So, But anyway, talking about him in this movie, I still think this is his best anything outside of Endgame and maybe Civil War. But overall, I really liked Rhodey here. I think he's still a great character. Really, I still like it. I don't like the new suit. I like the new suit. I don't really love the Iron Patriot. I'm with Tony on this one. Overall, I do like Rhodey. What do you think?
I would say just Terrence Howard, like, gets you more engaged in the movie.
I would probably
like,
agree
I feel
with
like,
that.
Like, when, like, Tony's in the desert and they're calling him and he's being chased, but, like...
Wait,
Rhodey
I thought we were
notice
debating
it.
Iron Man 3.
I was just saying, like, I think that scene... Like,
I was confused. Wait, this is not about Iron Man 3.
I think that scene, like, just shows, like, Terrence Howard is just, like, gets fans, like, more into the movie. But, Rhodey is good. I think Rhodey's best performance was in Endgame.
And by the way, if you go check out my ranking of all the 11, including Loki, of the upcoming Marvel TV shows. There's one about Rhodey. I'm really excited for it. It was number 4 on that list. But so go check that out. Check that video out. So yeah, that kind of sums up our thoughts.
Although I would add that there's one scene where I really like Rhodey, which is in the bar when like Tony has an anxiety attack. I think he's really good there. Like I kind of like that. Like when he comes like after. Like I think that was like needed how he like was like talking to Tony after. Like that was really good.
Okay.
That was maybe one of the best scenes.
Okay, next character. Happy Hogan. I'll start this one. I thought the first 2 Iron Mans, he was still a fun character. I loved him in that boxing scene with Natalie Rushman, or as she was called in that movie. Later, she was now Natasha Romanoff. Yeah. But still, I really loved that scene. That scene was really funny. But other than that, that's like the one scene in really with Happy Hogan that you really got to see him. You don't really have to see him much as a character. I mean, you saw him as Tony Bodyguard, and he definitely wasn't like left in the background, I would say. In some scenes he is, but most I wouldn't say so. But overall, I'd say he still is probably a very fun character. And this is where he got better. Like, this as well as the Spider-Man movies, I really enjoyed him in those movies. And yeah, what do you think?
I feel like he's underused in this movie because I feel like the whole security thing where he's like, everybody have the security thing, like, whereas the past, that was kind of hilarious. Like, he was, like, checking everybody.
Yeah, that was
I think he was really good for, like, that role, but he should have had more camera time.
I would have maybe agreed with that, but whatever. I still...
He's better. I think he's better in Spider-Man Far From Home. I think it was his best movie.
I think Homecoming was, but still, yeah. I
this one, you could see the potential in him probably the most.
Oh, yeah.
I
would 100% agree.
Yeah, like, you could see, like, how good he could be. But if they were to just give him some more camera time, that would have been really good.
Okay. So then we have Aldrich Killian. I think, honestly... I think so far, I think he's probably one of the worst villains in the MCU.
Yeah.
I mean, Guy Pearce is fine in the role. He's kind of a weird choice to cast for this kind of role, but I love him in like a movie like Memento. But overall here, like, I just think the villain is just not very good. I mean, I think he's slightly better than Whiplash just because there's not really much potential there. With Whiplash, there definitely was, and Mickey Rourke, especially after coming off of watching The Expendables for the first time, Mickey Rourke, you heard him with not an American, well, not him attempting a Russian accent.
The Russian accent was horrible.
It's laughable. But whatever. But overall, I do think Killian's slightly better just because they did a bit more with him. Because Whiplash, they could have done a ton with him, but they didn't. And you don't really understand his hatred for Tony Stark. Or, you do.
I'd agree.
You do, but you don't really see it throughout the movie.
Yeah.
With Killian, you do. But I think the idea of doing Killian, I mean, I feel like Killian, in general, it's just like, I mean, the execution is really what hurts this one. And the same with a bunch of movies in the MCU, this one too. But like the execution of a lot of this kind of stuff, it doesn't really work, I would say, but especially Killian. That's probably my biggest problem with this movie. There's one other thing I'll come to later. I think you might know what I'm talking about, but we'll talk about that in the debate for sure. Then you have, you have the same thoughts as me.
I would completely agree. I think the idea for Killian and the whole Mandarin disguise thing was really good. I would disagree with Jacob on that. There was less potential with Whiplash and more potential with Killian. I think if they would have made the idea work like better with Killian, like they could have disguised it better, I think there was a lot of potential there. Whiplash, he wasn't a great villain. They had I feel like he had like no potential to start off with. So I disagree, but overall, how the character, like what Jacob thought on the character, I would completely agree.
So the next character, I'm gonna go with the kid. I thought he was really fun here. I liked this little cameo in Endgame at the funeral. You can cut to that because why not? But anyway, so I thought he was really fun here. I think a nice little addition character that didn't have much screen time, but I still really enjoyed him. And overall, I don't have much to say, but I thought he was kind of fun. You think the same?
I thought he was a great character. He was really good. He was really exciting. I liked how he was so excited to see Tony Stark, and Tony was like, no. I just wanted tuna sandwich, and I liked how Tony gave him that thing for the bullies. That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
He's
I would agree.
And then where he said when we'll get. When the fire blowing person was there, it's you use that on bullies, now you can use that on this person. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I enjoy the kid, but
I enjoy him.
Anyway, I think we have kind of the same thoughts. So next character. Next up, we have Brant and Savin, the two main henchmen. By the way, if you didn't know, Brant's the one in the bar, and then Savin's the guy that took the roadie suit. I'll start with Brant. Actually, I'll start with both of them. I don't really care for either, I'm going to be honest. They're just kind of just normal henchmen, just bland, that just work for the villain. They feel like, you know what this kind of reminds me of? This kind of reminds me of the henchmen in Thunderball, another Bond movie, is that it feels like just normal people, gunmen, that, are just utilized a bit too much, or there's just too many of them that they're this one's Vargas, this one's Ani. I probably said that wrong. But, they just give a name to everyone. This is kind of the same thing. I don't think it's quite as distracting I think it's better here than it is in Thunderball, but still, I don't really care for either of them.
I partially agree and partially disagree. I agree, I don't care for Brand, but I love Savin's character.
Really?
I think he's a great henchman.
I would agree, I like him more.
I like, how he's, in the first scene, we don't know much about him, but he's, sitting there, he doesn't have a pass, and, he's talking to Happy there in Stark's facility. He's, sitting there, he's reading the newspaper, and I like how he got that I don't know if he was a homeless man or what that was in the scene where he blew up, but that was a good scene for him, and I like how he stole Rhodey's suit. That was a good idea by whoever made the movie.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you didn't know, the person who made the movie was in this fantastic movie called Predator. If you're an Arnie fan, you know what I'm talking about, or if you're a fan of sci-fi movies. Fantastic movie. We'll watch that after this. I wasn't necessarily kidding. Anyway, going back to the video, let's see. Now we have the president. My thing on the president is, I think he's just kind of your average president. I still think he's a fun character. I love William Sadler, great actor. He was in Die Hard 2. I thought he was fantastic in that movie. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'd say.
I mostly agree. I think he's a little bit overused.
I would maybe
good,
agree.
But they didn't, need to, hang him and all that dramatic stuff at the end with, Rhodey rescuing him. Not all of that was really needed.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like him, when he, tried to call the Mandarin. That was a really good scene. And I did like the actor. The actor was good, but he was a little bit overused. But overall good, a character.
Until Civil War, this is probably the most, tapped into the government we've ever seen in the MCU movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see. Next up, this is probably the one that I'll come back to this one, actually. But, it was the fake Mandarin. I'll talk about the Mandarin twist a little later, but I'll talk about just him as a character. I'll start with this one. I thought he just started off so good. I really liked him. Just a fantastic little, foil to Tony, and I really enjoyed it. Kind of tackled kind of Tony's anxiety, and I loved those little lessons he taught.
Yes.
To the president.
Yes.
I actually thought that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But the Mandarin twist completely ruined him. I'll talk about the twist later. But now they're just replacing him with the drunk actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll end that.
I'd
there.
agree.
100%. Because
yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about your thoughts at the Mandarin.
There's not much to talk about there.
Yeah. Let's see. Next up, we have that was the last character. So, overall, I think kind of most of the characters, I think we kind of have the same viewing on. I think the only one I'd say we kind of have opposite is Savin. That's, the only one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Savin.
Yeah, I think that's, the only one.
And then Tony a little bit.
A little. We still both agree.
But mostly agree.
Anyway, next up, the main plot. I'll start with this one, like most of them. By the way, if you didn't realize, I'm the defender. He's the challenger, technically.
Yeah.
He's the guy that doesn't like the movie as much. I probably didn't address that well. I'll do so, and if this video does well, I'll do more of these debates. Here, I'll make you a deal. If this if this video gets over, I'll be nice. 12 views in the first 24 hours. And this video if it does end up taking a while to make, and it gets 12 views, 15 views. For over the first 24 hours, and at least one like. Actually, no. But if it gets that, then I'll make, and it ends up being one of those videos that takes a long time, I'll make more for you guys. Anyway, so the main plot overall, I think this is one of the most convoluted ones. That I think a lot of even though I really enjoy this movie, the plot is not one of those great things.
The idea was there, but they threw in way too much. Way too much stuff.
Yeah, they did. But I think the things that work for me are all the stuff involving the whole thing with I'm trying to think. The whole thing with making. I think all the great plot threads involve Tony. Making him kind of be more, out of the suit compared to the first two Iron Mans, or even some of the other movies he was in. Even some later ones, like Infinity War and Endgame. But, you just see him a bit more, out of the suit as a whole, and I really like that they did that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the better things about the movie as a whole. But the rest of the plot, everything else involving Killian and the whole fire-breathing extremis, just no.
Yeah.
That I can't say anything. You have the same thoughts?
I would say there were a lot of scenes that should have been cut that weren't. Or they should have made scenes shorter. You
know what they should have done? They should have gotten rid of the plot line involving the vice president wanting to kill the president.
The vice president shouldn't have been in the movie.
Yeah. I'm fine with him being in the movie, but he shouldn't have been a threat at all.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
That was a really weird
I didn't even get that. I didn't even know I was arrested.
I think this is one. I think the thing is that I noticed that Shane Black tends to make movies that are very heavy on plot lines. He made The Predator that came out 3 years ago. I haven't seen it, but I heard there's so many plot threads coming. I bet this is not as much. Even compared to some other MCU movies, Phase 1 had this problem with having the movies be having way too many plot lines. A great example of that is Iron Man 2. And we're not going to talk about that right now because this video is going on for decently long. Anyway, but the plot overall, don't really care for it.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, now we're going to go like scene by scene. Not that we're not going to dissect it that much, but the first part I want to talk about is that whole 1999 sequence.
Yeah.
You can start.
I actually enjoyed it, to be honest. I thought the whole part where he just left him on the roof and like all the fireworks and stuff. I actually thought that was one of the best scenes in the whole movie. I really liked how they started off with that.
I kind of agree with that. I used to not really care for it, like in the first few watches, but I think the best part of the sequence is Jensen coming out in that little cameo shot in that guy from the first Iron Man from the cave. I don't know if you noticed it, but I'm the guy that pinpoints like small details like that.
Yeah.
But overall, I do kind of enjoy the sequence. I don't love it. I don't think it's one of the best sequences in the movie. Like there's a sequence I'll talk about in a minute that probably is, but overall I still enjoy it.
I would just add that the best part of that scene is certainly when I really liked like how Killian actually thought that he was gonna come up and talk and that he was really like mad when he didn't. That was smart to like add that like extra like anger into the movie.
Yeah, can I also say one thing? I was kind of expecting that because knowing Tony, especially in some scenes like the first Iron Man or even later in Civil War when he literally puts General Ross on hold. That was kind of funny. You kind of expect Tony to do that. He kind of forgets things, and even in the movie, he mentioned he forgot what he ate for breakfast.
Yeah,
waffles, which I love waffles, so I'm obviously gonna have a connection to that.
I kind of thought what they were gonna do with that scene was Tony was gonna actually go try to talk to him, and then like Killian,
that would have been interesting.
And then Killian was gonna like double cross him and like and then like push him over and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, it was an accident. Like I didn't mean to do it." I thought he would try to attempt like something like that and like try to like double cross him. Is what I thought.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they did what they did and not that.
Yeah,
to be honest.
yeah, I agree.
Anyway, next segment. The next sequence I want to talk about is the whole thing where you get introduced to Killian as a character. I'll say that this sequence includes really everything from Tony kind of getting his suit thing, and then all the way to like the end until like the end
until
of
the house is blown up.
No, not that far. Until like the end of when Killian and Savin leave Stark Industries building.
Okay.
So we'll go. I'll start with that scene by scene. I'll start with the whole Tony getting the suit thing with the whole thing. I love that scene. I think it's just a classic little Iron Man sequence. Kind of tone's not the right word, but kind of draws back some stuff that was great from the first Iron Man. That was really cool to me. I love that sequence. It was hilarious. My one problem with that is the same thing I've always had with the Mark 42 suit as a whole. It just broke. Literally, like a thing like just shot at it and then kaboom.
Yeah, I would just add that Iron Man 2 is missing something like that so much. Like Iron Man 2 could have used a scene like that a lot.
I would agree. Yeah. Anyway, he's the I guess we figured out our next movie, Iron Man 2.
Yes, we got a lot to talk about in Iron Man 2.
In Captain Marvel too.
Yeah.
Not yeah. Anyway, the next one, So that scene was really good, and then the whole thing with Stark Industries, and then the whole introduction to the Mandarin. I absolutely love that whole introduction to the Mandarin. I love that little sequence.
I love when he like took over all the TVs and like showed all the
that was such a great scene. I love the scene where he's like, "You'll never see me coming." Is that a
good accent?
Hey,
you'll never see me coming.
That was not as good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Then you have the whole thing with Pepper and with Pepper and Killian in the Stark Industries building. That was a pretty cool scene. I don't love it, but I don't really hate it either. So I'm kind of in the middle with that.
Yeah.
You feel the same?
No, I kind of disagree. I feel like that scene.
But I do like the stuff with
That scene was too long. That scene was way too long.
I wouldn't say that, but
cut out some
I don't know if they needed the whole thing with Tony and Happy. Like you could have cut that out. But anyway, so overall that was a decent enough scene. Then the next kind of little sequence, so you have the whole fire breathing introduction thing that Happy kind of investigates, and then he kind of tracks down Savin. That whole scene, as well as Tony kind of investigate. That whole scene, and then and then the whole thing with Pepper coming back, and then Tony's doing pull-ups apparently.
I
like that whole little sequence.
I feel like, to be honest, like as a fan, I wouldn't have liked this, but just for the movie's sake, I feel like maybe they should have killed Hoppy and it would have given like Tony extra motivation and stuff.
I don't think they should have killed him.
Given the movie more juice.
I have nothing to do but disagree with that.
I don't know. As a fan, I wouldn't like that because I love Hoppy, but the
just
movie might have needed some more like fire in it.
Although I mean, if they did that, then they know what happened. No, you know what? Never mind. So anyway, next scene. The next sequence is the whole thing with Tony talking to reporters and then into the house blowing up.
I
thought that was a great
one
sequence.
Of the better,
probably the second best sequence of the entire movie.
Yeah.
With the house blowing up, it was a great sequence. Overall, I think we have the same thoughts.
I loved when he like gave his address and was like,
I like that
Mandarin,
too.
you come.
That sounds like something Tony would do.
Yes.
But overall, I do really like that sequence, and I do think it's one of the best sequences of the entire movie. And the way the house blows up, great little sequence. And we missed one character. Yeah, we'll talk about it at the end.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it later. Anyway, so the next sequence, after the house blowing up, he heads to Tennessee. And then into the whole thing, meeting the kid. We're gonna kind of go through this quite a bit. I'll start this one, and I do really enjoy that whole little Tennessee sequence with him meeting the kid into the bar, and then around, and then she drives over to like the whole technology truck. And the Stanley cameo was kind of forgettable, but I still really enjoy this whole little sequence, and yeah.
A part of this sequence
I'll let you go more
that I
depth with it.
really enjoyed was when he walked over with the kid and like showed how his dad died and like how he blew it up and they thought that he killed himself while he blew it up.
That was a cool sequence.
That was really good. And like how his dad died was like all connected to it was really good. When the kid was like, build the suit yourself. That was kind of cool. Like when he like pulled over and was like asking the kid and he was like, build it yourself, and then he like went to the store and got all of that. Remember?
I thought Tony told the kid. I was like, wait, what?
I know
what you're talking about now. I mean, I watched it this morning.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that was pretty good.
So I guess so far we're kind of on the same track.
100%.
So overall, the next thing I want to come to is what's it called? Is the whole Mandarin twist. I hate it. Because here's why. It's the worst thing in the entire movie. Because you set up a fantastic looking villain with a not so great, close to okay, near bad villain. I just wanted to go on that track. I thought it would work. It didn't. So I thought that like that was just terrible. And the whole Mandarin thing just doesn't work. And then after that, he just becomes a drunk actor and
that was stupid.
Yeah. I mean Banks Kingsley did a pretty good job on the role before that, but now just whatever. I did like Rhodey in a few of these scenes, and I like that little scene with Tony kind of in the chains. He just 5, 4, 3.
Yes.
I thought that was hilarious.
She'd already been gone.
I am just beyond terrified.
Here it comes. 3, 4.
Shut up.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's another great Tony Stark moment, which I think we both have the same thoughts on that. Do you have the same thoughts on the Mandarin twist?
I didn't like how his girlfriend like changed sides at the last second and how Killian had to kill her. That's one of the scenes that they should have cut out. It just wasn't needed. I would say. But
I would say you could have made, but the only problem with that is that maybe you could. You could say that you put her in the scene and then a different sequence. I don't know what what else they would do with her if they took her out. Maybe she worked for Killian, and then maybe they could have put the scene at the end of the movie, maybe like near the end, like around like the whole. I don't know. Really, I mean, whatever. I'm fine with it. I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next sequence I'm going to talk about is that whole plane rescue sequence. This is the best sequence of the movie. It's just a good old-fashioned kind of superhero thing. And, I mean, if you didn't know, I don't think you guys know that much, but the original Superman is probably my favorite comic book movie of all time. It is absolutely fantastic. One of the beauties of that is just good old-fashioned saving people. This is kind of like that. I mean, the effects are better and it's way less cheesy. And I really enjoyed this little sequence of him saving these people and then dropping them in the water. I love it. You have the same thoughts?
Yeah, I liked when he like killed Sav and he was like, eat that bleep. And then he was like...
That was a weird one-liner.
I kind of liked it a lot. And I think his, like, when he came down as, like... I forgot, like, what exactly he said. He was, like, referred to, like, a little, like, saying in, like, a song. He was, like, one take another. It's, like, something like that. And he was, like...
That was not a song.
It was something. He was, like...
Monkeys in a Barrel.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. He said that...
Did you watch it recently?
I kind of enjoyed it. It's, like, a couple weeks ago.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
And... I really enjoyed, like, how, like, everybody grabbed them, and then, like,
Yeah.
he was like, ready to celebrate, and then a truck, like, ran over his suit. That was hilarious.
I'll talk about the suit later. I mean, it was kind of funny, but, like, I'll talk about my problems.
The suit was so weak.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'll talk about that later. Anyway, next sequence, the whole final battle, going over to the tanks. I think every rewatch, I think I like it a bit less. Here's why. Is that I feel like it's kind of like a little clustered mess of a battle at times. Like, if you asked me, like, maybe, like, 5 months ago, what do you think of the final battle of Iron Man 3? Oh, I love it. Now I'm like, I just think it's alright. Because I just think the way it ended off was kind of cool, but the way they kind of solved the whole Killian plotline just doesn't really work for me. And, I mean, the whole Pepper stuff and that kind of thing, I like that part about it. And the whole suit showing up, that was pretty cool. But the overall final battle, not the best.
I would say Killian should have been dead. Like, Tony had already killed him at, like, one point, and then he, like, came back and was, like, still alive, and his shirt was off. Like, I feel like he just should have been dead by then. Like,
He was whatever. I mean...
But he didn't really need to come back. I thought the final battle was good with, like, how Pepper, everybody thought she was dead and she came back. That was good.
Yeah, also,
That
this
was
might go
good.
back to, like, there's some final battles as a whole throughout, not just, like, the MCU, but even, like, some TV shows where it's, like, I think the final battles, I feel like, in general, I have, like, there's, like, 3 criteria. The action self, how does it conclude the whole overall story in the rivalry with the villain, and how does it conclude the movie? And I think the problem is that if you don't have a check off on 3 of them, I can't call it a great finale. And it has a check off. I do think it's a great action sequence, and it does end the movie pretty well. It doesn't really find a good conclusion to the overall story and the overall villain rivalry. Because I just didn't really care about what was going on throughout the movie. And even though I really enjoy it, I think overall, I think the ending of the movie doesn't quite work.
I feel like the potential of what this movie could have been, I feel like this is, like, a lot worse version of Endgame.
Really?
This is like Endgame, but a lot, like, a not so good version of it. Like, the end.
I mean,
the
it's
end of
definitely
it,
worse
like,
than
when he says, you can take away all my stuff and everything, but you can't take away one thing, that's I'm Iron Man. That's kind of like Endgame at the end a little bit. But I feel like this had the potential kind of like Endgame, but Endgame is just, of course, a lot better. But.
So, overall, I just think that the final battle was pretty fun overall. I mean, I don't, like, dislike it or anything. I'd say it's just good. I mean, you might think that I'm kind of crapping on it. For being the defender, I don't like it all that much. But overall, I mean, a lot of the stuff I really enjoy. Like, the plane sequence, the house sequence, but most of the stuff involves, like, around Tony. But anyway, going on to the whole end thing itself, involving Tony blowing up the suits. Here's my problem with it. I like the little sequencing, kind of looks like fireworks, but what it sets up for the rest of the MCU, and then literally, like, in a couple movies later, in Age of Ultron, he's literally putting back on the Iron Man suits. In fact, he's creating Ultron, which we'll talk about that later.
Oh, that's woo.
That's just a bit. That's a bit like I don't like it. I mean, I don't blame it on Age of Ultron. I blame it on this movie because the way it kind of ended off things. I mean, it's not that it's satisfying, but it's not as satisfying as you'd want it to be. And of the closure trilogy movies, this is by far the worst
I actually really enjoyed, like, how Happy came out of his.
I did like that.
That was really smart of them to do that, to, like, add that at the end. That was really smart. They could have done that though earlier, maybe, like, a little bit earlier before the final battle, maybe.
I don't really care that much. So, but overall, yeah, the final battle, I think we kind of have the same thoughts, and then the ending as a whole. But there's one more thing in scene based I want to talk about: the post-credit scene involving. Well, you don't watch those things?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Are you kidding me?
I turned it off when I turned it off.
Okay, we're ending the video right now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and there's a few other technical aspects I want to think about, and then we'll end the video. One thing I want to mention is, do you like the fire breathing effects? Because I think they're pretty good.
The fire breathing effects are good. The whole plot with it is not.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying the effects.
Yes, the
effects
are good.
They're not great, but I'd say they're good. They work for me. I think the suit effects are some of the best in the MCU. Not as good as like they would be in like Infinity War and Endgame, but so far I'd say they're the best. Maybe the Avengers.
I'd say it's okay.
Yeah, but I think an effects level, I'd say one of the weaker MCU movies, but there's not really much to flaw from it. That I have to flaw. I think you get what I mean. That's really the effects overall in this movie are pretty good, and then. The dialogue in this movie, Shane Black wrote this movie called The Long Kiss Goodnight, a fantastic action movie from 1998, with Samuel L. Jackson, actually. With him and Gina Davis, like a little Bourne type action movie. It was great, and one of the best things about it is the dialogue that Shane Black wrote, and I think all the dialogue in this movie is just fantastic. And then you kind of see Tony just being kind of sarcastic as a whole, and it always works for the character, but especially in this movie. And I think, I bet that the dialogue really does a lot to elevate it. So I feel like, I don't know if you're really gonna feel the same way because you don't think about those things on like a technical level. Anyway, speaking of technology, then you have Tony's suit. Here's my problem with it. This would be like top 3 suits if it didn't keep breaking.
Yes.
It broke
5
times. First one was with the missile. Next one, later it broke down because of battery charge. But that one's a bit more understandable because it went in the water. Yeah. But then the next one with the whole truck thing, that
was stupid.
Here's my problem with that one. You said that was funny, but in the original Avengers, there's the Mark 6 suit. Yeah. No, Mark 7. Yeah, Mark 7. The Mark 7 suit literally survived a turbulence world thing, and then it came out okay. I mean, he obviously got a new suit, the Mark 8, but with the Mark 42 here in this movie, it just kept breaking. Like a suit, one of his earlier suits could survive turbulence. I don't know what it's called, like a propeller. I'll call it propeller. Yeah. This suit can't, and that kind of frustrates me. I do like the new Iron Patriot thing. I like the new suit. I don't love that he's called Iron Patriot, because I'm with Tony on this one.
Yeah. Overall, I'd agree.
So that kind of, I don't really have much else to say, but overall thoughts, I'll start with myself. I'm going to be honest, I think overall, I kind of liked it a little less. After talking with you, I wonder, fan to fan, I wonder if these debates will kind of change your thoughts from other MCU movies.
I kind of disagree. I feel like the more I watch
you liked it more?
The more I like it.
I can't say it's not really bad. Coming off this debate, I liked it just like a little bit less. Like in the movie, I'd say I had the same thoughts.
The debate didn't change anything.
Yeah, but you might have been thinking I was kind of crapping on it quite a lot. I really enjoy it. Love Tony Stark. I think he's probably the best thing in the entire movie. And some of the action sequences are fantastic.
Yes.
Overall, yeah. I don't really have much to say. So, Cole.
Yeah.
So, I really enjoy it. Love a lot of the technical stuff, like some of the action sequences. They're probably the best action sequences of the Iron Man movies yet. I don't know if they quite beat the original Iron Man. I don't know. The cave sequence is fantastic.
The cave sequence is great.
And so is although the final battle beat the original Iron Man one for sure. But overall, that kind of concludes this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.